So, in the last week in the UK, Jeremy Corbyn did a move that I think was necessary. I think was extremely strategic. I think it was shrewd. And I think it exposed the absolute cravenness of the so-called centre in UK politics. I recently talked with Vijay Prashad, and he illustrated the point of actually how, you know, the Trump administration, one of the greatest catastrophes is tearing up the Iran deal. And he said the Europeans know that the Iran deal was an incredible success and a major net positive on the world, for the world, but they don't have the capacity. And he basically framed it as they're feckless and they don't have the courage to really fight for it. And if you look at the Europeans as a stand-in for this collapsing, quote unquote, center, it's the people who were okay with the, you know, the slow motion coup and political imprisonment of Lula in Brazil, even though it leads to this Bolsonaro catastrophe. It's people who, watch them very closely as Bernie Sanders continues forward, what their actual allegiances are. And the UK has a powerful example. Jeremy Corbyn said, look, give me several months in power. I will ensure that Boris Johnson, who is getting closer and closer to a no-deal Brexit, which would actually be a crisis, right? There's been so much melodrama about Brexit, and undoubtedly Brexit's an incredibly stupid own goal. But I've emphasized the perspective that, look, the UK was already in crisis. David Cameron and Theresa May had already implemented vicious, along with the Liberal Democrats, vicious austerity that had spiked poverty, increased inequality, had caused massive human suffering. In the broader sweep of history, it was unnatural, frankly, that a beautiful and very charming little set of islands, no doubt, would be a global empire. And in the 21st century, they are not strategically located like a Singapore or a Dubai, and they are not a global power. So there are broader trends in changing what the UK is. There are a lot of questions and crises for them to deal with, and Brexit was one as well. If you leave without a deal, that actually does set the situation of maybe there actually are food shortages. Maybe there are medicine shortages. I mean, this is a catastrophe, and Boris Johnson is a complete amoral narcissist who cares nothing. I mean, pure folding up personal aggrandizement and entitlement. Jeremy Corbyn said, put me in power for several months. I'll make sure there is not a no-deal Brexit. We will deal with that process. We'll put it up to a vote again, and then I'll call elections. I'm going to just be in office. We're not even talking about implementing what is, of course, actually his very modest but vitally necessary democratic socialist agenda. And the Liberal Democrats, under the leadership of Joe Swinson, and really the whole cabal of these people with the dumb new group, the independence group, and all of these lunatics and sociopaths who say that the whole purpose of their politics is to stop Brexit, have revealed their true colors, which it is not to stop Brexit. They fundamentally feel more comfortable with a thuggish, entitled buffoon like Boris Johnson, who might actually take them to the Brexit scenario they fear most, more than having a decent, honorable social democrat in office for a couple of months. And now remember that Joe Swinson was part of that Liberal Democrat Tory coalition that caused so much suffering. This is her.
This isn't about me setting that out. It's about looking at reality as it is. And, we don't have time to muck about here with people's egos. I mean, of course, Jeremy Corbyn wants to be Prime Minister, so do I. But what we really need to do now is save our country from a catastrophic no-deal Brexit. And to do that, we need something that will bring people together across the House of Commons. And Jeremy Corbyn is not the person.
Sorry, folks. Twitter is as disgusted by Joe Swinson as we are. Okay, so the fundamental...
This isn't about... He's not the person to do that. I've put forward people who I think could do that, who are not from my party, Ken Clarke and Harriet Harman. I'm very happy to have discussions with Jeremy Corbyn if he's got other suggestions of people who could genuinely command that support across the House. I'm not precious about the people that I've suggested. I want to find a solution that works. So let's get onto that territory of talking about things that might actually deliver what he says he wants to see, which is stopping no deal.
If you vote for Liberal Democrats, unless you are some type of multimillionaire, or maybe like, I don't know, a Google lobbyist at the EU, you are pathetic. Pathetic and embarrassing. Do you remember David Adler, who's been a guest on this show, who did the research? What political grouping have the most disdain for democracy? And it was centrists. This is a woman who is saying, as a leader of a political party, a democratic political party, that she is demanding that the democratic decision-making of the Labour Party be eliminated in favor of Ken Clarke, who's like a Tory grandee, and Harriet Harman, who's a Labour grandee. Neither of these people have leadership positions. None. Theresa May was the leader. She was the leader of the Tory party. She was selected by the Tory party. She won. That's it. She is talking about serious proposals and safeguarding democracy from crisis when she is ruling out of hand the one scenario that would stop a no-deal Brexit, and then on the second, demanding a purely anti-democratic maneuver, all because they are so reactionary that they will not get on board with having a decent social democrat in office for a matter of months. That really shows the ball here. The Liberal Democrats and any other faction, I mean, look, the Scottish National Party, they entertain the idea. The Liberal Democrats are a profoundly poisonous force in UK and by extension European and really global politics.
No, I mean, it's so ridiculous. Also, let's not forget, we're talking about a group that's not even close to anywhere near a majority in Parliament.
No.
I mean, we're talking, I believe, somewhere around 14 MPs trying to demand that the Labour Party switch their leadership to appease them. And the reason that they're doing this is because they recognize that the only thing that is drawing people toward the Lib Dems is Brexit. And they know that ending the crisis is the end to the political opportunism, which is why if you seriously are against Brexit, you should be so furious and sick with this party because they're selling you nothing. They're selling you no solution. And when they have a very viable opportunity to stop Brexit, which is supposed to be
this would stop Brexit. This would stop Brexit.
Absolutely.
They would achieve the sole purpose of why they're in office. They have no agenda or plan for anything else.
And the fact is it's not just Labour. Like even the SNP has come out and said, you really should entertain this position. And they're trying to use this as an opportunity to power broke. And it's really despicable and vile, especially when you recognize that their number one fear is they fear a socialist or a more just or a better Britain more under Jeremy Corbyn more than they fear Boris Johnson Brexit. And that's quite despicable in my opinion.
And that's it. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.